Ladies and gentlemen, 2/3 of the Republican Party would follow President Trump out of the GOP into any new organization that he starts. This is a Washington Examiner article. Nearly 2/3 of Republicans say they would likely leave the party if Trump starts a new one. Why do you think that is? Well, he was able to accomplish a great many things. He, in terms of foreign policy, accomplished paradigm-changing achievements. He was the first president to step foot in North Korea, bringing détente, a true détente between North and South Korea. President Moon Jae-in stated recently that he wants Biden to continue President Trump's legacy. President Trump's legacy is that he left the world a better place. The world is a better place now. He did not start a military conflict. He's the first president in decades not to have done something like that. President Obama, Bush especially, left the world worse off. The world, the planet, is in better shape because of Trump. You have the Abraham Accords, peace between Israel, UAE, Morocco, Bahrain, Serbia and Kosovo, economic deals. Okay? Media doesn't talk about this. They can't possibly talk about this because it would humanize President Trump. It would make him into a human being with faults and perhaps, missteps, but a person that actually achieved great things. So, we can go on. Renegotiated NAFTA into the USMCA. He presided over record low unemployment throughout most of his tenure. The pandemic was not his fault. And if you're going to blame him for the pandemic, do the governors, the Democratic governors who preside over the worst outcomes, according to the New York Times, do they get any blame? So, President Trump did great things. He stood up to corrupt intelligence officials that try to set up and frame him. Were there missteps? Of course there were missteps. And I say this all the time. He should never have insulted LeBron James. He should never have insulted NFL athletes. He should never have utilized Twitter in the manner that he did. Because even if the entire political establishment was out to get him, he still could have created a national discourse, debate, discussion, dialogue without insulting people. That being said, if he learns from his mistakes, there's no stopping President Trump, whether he starts a new party or continues to take over the Republican Party. It's really interesting. Hit subscribe to this channel right now, by the way. We're back on our way to 200,000 subs. I'm actually starting a really, really amazing venture. You will love it, and I'll give you a hint. When I started H.A. Goodman's other channel, which I'll probably, continue as well, I said, okay, well, that's a channel that I could be myself in, and I can, But really, if, you're on YouTube, I love YouTube, but YouTube, there are strict guidelines. They get even more, you have to watch yourself even more so nowadays than ever before, okay? I speak to my YouTube representative all the time, and she tells me that I'm in great standing because I understand. There are certain words you can't say. There's certain words you can't put in the title. There's certain things you can't talk about. Or if you talk about them, you have to talk about them in a roundabout way. And so, or just be as diplomatic as possible, which is why I'm so long-winded. I will be starting a venture that you will love. And especially people who've been with me for a while, you'll absolutely love it. I'm not going to get too into it, but I'm really excited. So hopefully that starts within the next month where I will be able to be myself. And it's going to be fantastic, really fantastic. And I actually, will there be profanity alerts? Here and there, but it won't be it'll be family friendly, and it'll be just, I'll be able to talk about a great many topics and actually discuss things in depth in a way that I can't. So whereas this channel is fantastic and it's growing, we're going to be over 200,000 subs. And considering all the restrictions within the algorithm, I think I do a pretty good job. This new venture will allow me, in addition to this channel and H.A. Goodman's other channel, to really express myself, really, really, voice my thoughts on things without any restriction. So, like I said, I thought when I started H.A. Goodman's other channel, I said, oh, you know what, I could be myself, but you're still aware of the paradigm of the algorithm at all times. Anyway, hit subscribe. Go to hagoodman.com if you want to support my voice long term. To my Patreons, thank you so very much. My Patreon links are below as well. Thank you Greatly, greatly appreciated. Your support, especially during this time, is greatly appreciated. So I'll be telling you about that venture very soon. You will love it. Ladies and gentlemen, there are like Johnny Rotten of the Pistols, John Lydon. He's fantastic. He supported President Trump. That's a true punk rock position to take. There are other, icons, legends, people, who are held in high esteem within the rock and roll community because of their contributions to punk rock, who don't like President Trump. And I was trying to think of a way, an explanation of why 2/3 of Republicans would leave the GOP and follow Trump anywhere he goes. And I was also trying to explain to somebody who doesn't understand why President Trump is so popular despite all the negative coverage. If you were an original punk rocker, you broke the mold. You might not have done everything. What was the appeal of punk rock? It wasn't disco. Okay. It wasn't the mainstream. It provoked and got you thinking, and it was. There's still great punk rock bands, not like there used to be maybe, but there's still, I have a couple of viewers that say, HA, there's this great punk rock band, there's still some fantastic bands out there. And so, but the legendary bands like, the Ramones and the Pistols and anyway, my point is, what made punk rock special? Well, it wasn't disco. It wasn't really rock. It wasn't the rock and roll that people were used to. It was completely different. And it just was a paradigm change, and it was like a sledgehammer and a runaway train, a freight train. And it just, crashed into things and broke things apart, and there were no sacred cows, and, it wasn't the norm. It was something different and beautiful. President Trump was something different and beautiful. Were there missteps? Yes, there were missteps. But if you were a punk rocker in the 70s, do you think you would side with the FBI? Do you think you would side with intelligence agencies, with Hollywood, with every Hollywood producer out there, with one political party? Because Trump supporters or people who vote for Trump, like myself, I wasn't beholden to the Democratic Party. I was a lifelong Democrat. I grew up a liberal Democrat my whole life. I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. One of my articles in the Huffington Post talking about Bernie Sanders and how great he was at the time had like 750,000 shares or likes or whatever on Facebook. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Twitter. I haven't had Facebook and Twitter for 2 years. Okay? But my point, and I've told people to get off of Twitter, but my point is, I'm not beholden. I wasn't beholden to. I'm not an ideologue. They might say, "Oh, you're an ideologue. You just don't like the Democrats." No, I don't like the Lincoln Project people. I don't like endless wars. I don't like military interventions and regime changes that destroy countries, like what President Obama did to Libya, and what Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld did to numerous countries, and what the Lincoln Project did, and what Biden voted for, and what Clinton voted for, and what President Obama allowed, and what Kerry voted for. So I want to bring Americans home from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. That's in my view, the most moral. It's a moral imperative to put that on top of your list of political things to accomplish. Okay, Democrats don't care. Do you understand? They liken Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld's foreign policy now. Well, it's just Germany and Japan. We have soldiers stationed there since 70 years now. I mean, it's just the way it is. What? No, it's completely different. These are still counterinsurgency conflicts, and Americans are still losing their lives, and the potential for mission creep, where we just are thrust into a cataclysmic conflict with numerous other nuclear powers is there. So that's another story. But if you're a punk rocker in the 70s, I'm going to finally get to the point. Would you say, oh, I'm going to write songs and I'm going to, develop my inspiration on simply despising one person while at the same time siding with establishment Republicans and establishment Democrats and all of media and all of Hollywood and every Hollywood producer and every intelligence operative out there. And I'm going to blame Russia for 2016 and Facebook ads. And I'm going to really care what people think of me because I'm this great punk rock icon. No, you do the opposite. So in terms of the punk rock mentality, voting for President Trump or supporting President Trump is definitely punk rock mentality. Trump does not stand for bigotry. He opposes racism and bigotry. That's why he allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. That's why he signed prison reform legislation. If you say, well, he could do that and still be a supremacist. Yeah, I guess you could, but then you wouldn't be a very good supremacist now, would you? What a supremacist would do is actually destroy a country like Libya in North Africa, which is what President Obama did with his well-meaning intervention and regime change. That country hasn't had a moment of peace in 10 years since President Obama engaged in that NATO intervention. See, again, foreign policy is like a foreign topic to Democrats or liberals or the Hollywood or the music industry. Okay, the music industry, Hollywood, DC, it's groupthink. You are getting one, like CNN is the antithesis of punk rock. I keep going back to it because President Trump was special. He was unique. Did he make missteps? Yeah, he should never have insulted LeBron James or NFL athletes, or he should have created a dialogue and discourse and debate. He should have tried a little harder to perhaps unify the two factions, one of which was going after him and setting him up, yes. But he decided to play the game of politics, and that's part of the game. In baseball, if someone is constantly trying to bean you, that's part of the game. You can't just simply walk off the field and never. I mean, you can charge the mound, or you can just go to first base. There are options, but it's part of the game. And like I said, you can only charge the mound so many times. At a certain point, you gotta just go to first base, maybe steal or whatever, hit a home run next time. The point, what I'm trying to tell you is, President Trump was lured into a trap. They try to provoke him all the time, and he lashed out, and then that helped media create this monster and ogre that doesn't exist. Trump is not the monster that his Twitter profile, portrayed to apoplectic liberals. My point, though, is that's one of the reasons that people will follow Trump, because he was special, he was unique, he broke the mold, he accomplished things that President Obama did not accomplish. Trump deserved the Nobel Peace Prize, not President Obama. Biden tonight said, "Oh yeah, we're going to stop supporting this country in their intervention in another country." Well, who got us into that? It was President Obama. Okay, who drank Flint water and said that it was good, it was safe to drink? President Obama. And then you have one Hollywood celebrity. Well, it was unfortunate he did that. Everything from Tara Reid accusing Biden to everything that Democrats get caught with or accused of is mitigated, and it's swept under the rug, whether it's Caligula, Biden's son, and his laptop, and everything about Trump is sensationalized. And if you fall for that spin, you're not going to vote for President Trump. You're going to care more what people think of you. Like, it took me a while when I was on the left to finally vote for President Trump. It took me a while to say, okay, I'm probably going to get pushback from people. And Lord, did I get pushback from certain people that I know. Which is actually interesting, because now I know that they're the ones with the character flaws. If you're a human being, you put politics above friendship or family, that's a deficiency within your character. That's a character flaw that you have. And it's actually, in a way, positive, because now I can see, okay, here are the people that I should never trust again. Here are the people who watch CNN and take their marching orders from MSNBC and read the New York Times and think that they're educated. You can read the New York Times every day of your life from here on out. You won't be educated. You will be informed on one viewpoint. That's it. One liberal Democratic Party viewpoint. That's it. You won't get the actual, and that's why when you debate, and I tell people, do not debate. Do not debate people who never Trumpers or people who don't like President Trump, because they can't possibly accept or acknowledge any good things that he's done. They'll accuse him, they'll accuse you, because all they have is emotion. Facts are meaningless. So they say, he lied so much. Nobody lied more than Bush and President Obama. That's not true. The Washington Post doesn't have a running tally of their lies. Aha. Yeah? What? Huh? What do you mean? Uh-huh? Yeah, why not? Well, because they didn't lie. No, because the Washington Post didn't go after them. The Washington Post didn't say, well, could you imagine how many misleading comments from everything from Clinton's email servers to foreign policy interventions? You should see what President Obama stated about Libya before he intervened. None of it was true. All of it were lies. All of it was a giant lie. So, and they rewrite history saying, well, it was well-meaning. It was well-meaning. That's why, it's always these appeals to authority. You'll see CNN hosts say, well, this person says this. Well, yeah, that doesn't mean that they're right in every circumstance. And there are also educated or experts, people who are experts who disagree. There are people who, if your only argument is an appeal to authority, and your only argument is, well, he said this on social media, or your only argument is, well, the intelligence community said, or this was said within an Atlantic article, you don't have an argument. You just have hearsay and gossip. President Trump can stand on his accomplishments. Mitt Romney would never have accomplished what he did. Neither would Clinton. That makes Clinton and Mitt Romney the same type of politician. That's why Trump is special. And that's why you're special, not just for watching this segment, because you very likely either support President Trump or don't think that he's this monster. You're actually a unique human being if you just don't think Trump is a monster. You're already have a better grasp of critical thinking skills than apoplectic, seething, fuming, hysterical liberal Democrats who don't speak to friends or family or shun people. Because 74 million Americans chose a different candidate. So think about the type of person who says, I don't want to even talk to anyone who disagreed with me. There's 74 million people out there that, and then of course you better believe when money's involved, suddenly the lofty ideals go out the window. That's another story. That's another story. But anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. I'm all over the place, but I wanted to do something a little bit different in explaining why President Trump has that influence. The cult is not Trump supporters. That's not the cult. The cult is the CNN, MSNBC, Hollywood, intelligence community, late night, James Comey type mentality. And that's the antithesis of a punk rock mentality, which is what I was talking about earlier. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. And also, I'll say this, my final point. You can disagree with Trump. You don't have to vote for him. You could have voted for Biden. It's the hysterical, apoplectic, angry, venomous, contemptful people, malicious people who would accuse you of being something you're not or do just because you, along with 74 million Americans, voted for a Republican president. These are the fanatics and the ideologues who definitely wouldn't have opposed the 1930s and 1940s Germans. Okay? If you look back at that time period, universities were at the center of all the groupthink. or one of the hubs of the groupthink. And Sophie Scholl is an amazing, amazing German woman, young woman whose life was, she gave her life to fighting the 1930s and 1940s Germans. She was a German woman, young woman, and she was a university student. Look up Sophie Scholl. Okay, she was a hero, a hero. Look up Sophie Scholl. She's a true hero. The Twitter liberals would not be Sophie Scholl. If anything, they would just follow whatever the prevailing mentality was of any time period. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you so very, very much.